Hi guys, we're back for another Community Talk podcast episode alongside Waz from United Analytics. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, mate. After yesterday, it's been tough. I'll be honest. It's devastating getting knocked out of Champions League because it's not that it's where you're ending up in the Europa League. I think Europa League gonna have a bad effect on our season. That's the problem. That's why I'm really frustrated.
Yeah, it's an annoying one. I mean, last night I did say this, I was struggling to tweet, and fair play for Ahmed, who's obviously doing a great job with the reviews and the previews on Trafford Talk, but he managed to get one out. And to be honest, could I have done that? Probably not. It was such a bad game. Could I really defend anyone? Not really. This will probably be quite a short Community Talk episode as well, because I mean, there's so much to talk about, but I think everyone can agree certain issues, and that's basically brings me to my first question for you, and it's, where did we actually go wrong? Because I don't want to focus on the game from last night in particular. Obviously, we all refer to that, but talk about the 5 games that we played over the time as well. So, do you think it was maybe the manager? Do you think it was the players? What do you think, mate? What do you think went wrong?
Are we talking about the Champions League? Yeah. So with the Istanbul defeat away, I thought that was a big killer, because if we got the 3 points there, we would have been much more settled and much more comfortable, and then we could have took our foot off the pedal as well in the games remaining. But that defeat and the way we lost that game, especially with that Demba Ba goal, it was hard. It was hard to take. And then even the PSG game at home, I thought we played pretty well in the second half, but we didn't get our goals with Martial missing 2 sitters early, so that was disappointing as well. And it's just frustrating that I went to the last game, because we should have had this sealed up a couple of games ago, and that's why it's disappointing. And it's not like we played badly against PSG. We played very well second half. We knocked the ball around well. Rashford did well on the right. He played it into Martial, who missed a sitter that he normally scored, but obviously we know he's in bad form at the moment and his confidence low. And then even last night with Martial and Cavani unavailable, I thought that was a big loss and a big blow, considering the types of players they are. They still hold the ball up well in comparison to like Greenwood and Rashford especially.
Yeah, well, what I think about Martial is, I mean, he's now 25 years old, and I've got a lot of time for Martial, but to be honest now, the inconsistencies that he's been showing for a while, it's too much. And I think, yes, he can average 10 plus goals a season, which is good, but to lead the line for Manchester United, it's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be someone on the 20 plus goals a season, because if you look at all other teams, they've got Kane, Aguero, probably not Firmino, but your Salah, Mane's, they all make up.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The majority of the team's goals. Whereas you look at us and you think, who do we actually have to rely on? And probably Bruno, but I mean, we ask Bruno to do so much.
Yeah, it's too much.
The only thing we don't ask him to do is be the captain, which I think's so surprising, because he is probably the main leader on the park. And we'll move on and talk about Maguire soon. But as you started off with the strikers, I think Cavani has done well whenever he's came on. He's not had a great run of games, for example, and obviously he said that the controversial comments which I spoke about in previous podcasts about talking to his friend. I think the injury just now, I think that was probably obviously the worst time possible, but you can't just blame it on injuries, because you look at Leipzig as well, who had Upamecano on too many yellow cards, so he had to sit out that game. And then you also look at their strikers. Yusuf Poulsen didn't start, and Danny Olmo started up front. Really didn't even provide any sort of threat. Didn't really touch the ball the full game. And then you look at the team and you think, we still concede so many goals. We still concede against the balls into the back post.
Yeah.
2 goals, pretty much identical. I mean, we saw it. I mean, I know this is obviously a Champions League review, but we saw it against Brighton as well. Solly March. If that was Angelino, he'd have got a hat trick.
Yeah, I think from as well, back post. The one, what's his name? The one De Gea saved with his foot.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name, but you look at all this and you think, what is the underlying problems? And I want to hear, obviously, what you think, but what are the underlying problems with Manchester United then?
Where do you start? We could do a separate podcast regarding the board, so I'll leave the board out of this. I think everyone shares the same opinion regarding the board. Then regarding the squad itself, I feel we have a good squad. We have many internationals. I feel a lot of them are underperforming, but then it's also got to do with the management with Solskjaer. So there are many underlying problems. So when you touched on the striker issue, I agree with you there. I feel with Martial, he's definitely a good player. He's definitely a youthful player. He's definitely someone you want in your squad. But for me, as an out-and-out number 9, he probably isn't it, because his natural instinct isn't those number 9 goals, those ones at the front post, those ones where you get your head in, the ones that you might have to like stick your foot out. He don't get those sort of goals. He's more of a inside left forward, such as a Mane type of player, where he'd get goals from.
Would you get rid of? Would you let Martial go? Would you move him on?
No. I wouldn't get rid of Martial. I'd keep him in the squad, and he'll provide definitely good competition for a potential striker we do sign in, and for the left wing, he can comfortably play in that position. We saw in the Van Gaal season when he played on the inside left. I think he got 17 goals in his debut season. So I think him and Rashford. I think Rashford are quite inconsistent as well. So I think that needs to be spoken about much more as well. I think he does get away with it a bit because of his good character, but this is football. We've got to talk about Manchester United and within football. So I think him and even Mourinho mentioned it once. He goes, Rashford and Martial got a fight for the left wing position, and then United fans were like, "No, put Martial up front." But but in hindsight, Mourinho was right, wasn't he?
Well, you look at Martial and Rashford, as you said. I need to agree with you on Marcus Rashford. I thought he was absolutely terrible last night in that game. He just looked completely behind the play. Didn't really look as if he wanted to be there. And I don't think that was the case. I think he was just having a poor game. But since he came back for his short-term injury there from international duty, he's having issues. And I mean, so is the rest of the team. I'm not saying that, but you look at those guys and you need to rely on them. When they had so many chances, and especially against, it takes it back to PSG, where Martial, the ball came right across the 6-yard box.
You've got to score those. You just got to
score that goal.
Yeah.
And it was really frustrating me recently because I know he wasn't playing, but I'm talking about the whole Champions League group stage as a whole.
As a whole, yeah.
And he's been poor, really poor. Probably one of the worst players. And I mean, Rashford, yes, he had the great game against Red Bull Leipzig and Old Trafford, but I mean, he was non-existent in the game there, and I can't back him up. I can't back any players up in the previous game there against Leipzig. They were terrible. I mean, they weren't great in the first game though. I don't know if you can remember in depth about that game, but I mean, we weren't 5-0 up until about the 70th minute or so. And in the first half, we always got off to a poor start, but it was just a case of how many goals we actually concede. In the first 15 minutes of that game, we conceded in the first half against Istanbul as well. Credit to them. They're not amazing, to be honest. I think they would probably finish definitely in the bottom half, if not relegation zone in the Premier League.
Yeah, for sure.
Poor team. Demba, terrible player.
Yeah,
he made us look.
They've got players that are packed.
And I'd like to hear your views just now about. And over the full Champions League campaign, which obviously cut short, what would you say was the turning point? Like, I know I would say Istanbul, but was it later on, maybe in PSG, where you were really worrying? You were really worrying about the fact, will we mess this up? Because I was talking to United Paper, who does a lot of work with us as well, and he was in the transfer series. But I think he came on to a match day preview for that game, the Leipzig game, and he basically said that thinks we'll lose, and he thinks we've lost momentum. Is that maybe what you think? Can you relate to that?
Yeah, I think the Istanbul defeat, it was unacceptable, especially the goal we conceded with Matic. I simply didn't understand that goes to management as well. You see, the setup. I think it was United's corner. Bissaka was on the corner of the obviously opposition box. Even when you play Sunday League, you keep maybe one centre back and you keep a full back. There's like, you're not gonna have Shaw and Bissaka around the box because they're not good in the air anyway, and their delivery ain't fantastic. So you don't need them there. You need them there for their recovery run, because if that was Bissaka, we've seen Bissaka recovery runs as well. If that was Bissaka chasing Demba Ba, we know 9 out of 10 times he'll win it. We've got Matic 20 yards away. The setup was all wrong, and that's where it goes to management. So I don't even blame Matic specifically, but you also think the time it took to take that corner, is no one shouting Matic to get back or get goal side. Like, that itself it's so bad, honestly, genuinely so bad. Not even reactionary, it's so bad. If it happened in Sunday League school football, I'd be going mad. Even at the children, I'd be going mad, because you just can't let that happen. It's so bad. And even on that alone, we deserve Europa League for making such a disastrous mistake. But yeah, I felt we still had hope going into PSG, but I don't specifically want to blame Oli for the PSG defeat, because I genuinely did feel we played well, especially in the second half. First half, obviously, you're playing PSG, you're playing a team that's been in the Champions League final. They got star players. Verratti coming back was a key like component to their team, so that we make the midfield solid. They kept the ball much better with Verratti. That's his style of play. But I felt we held on within the first 25 minutes where we were struggling a bit, but we kept him at arm's length. But then second half, like you mentioned with Martial, in football at this level, you've got to take your chances. It's all right against West Brom if you miss a chance. It's all right against Southampton, Brighton if you miss chances. Because you'll get more. You'll get more, and also they'll miss key chances. But against Leipzig, PSG, they take their chances. So you've got to take your chance. There's not that room for error like in the Premier League at times. And that's what's cost us. And again, I don't want to be overly harsh on Oli. I've praised him plenty in the past. I also criticised him yesterday for how we set up. We might get onto that later on. But yeah, with the PSG game specifically, we've got to take our chances. It's plain and simple. We've got to take our chances.
I mean, see, even in the first PSG game, I don't think we really took our chances that well either.
No.
I think we're quite lucky to win in the end. I mean, Martial obviously scored own goal, crazy own goal, by the way. I mean, we're missing a lot of chances in the early stages of that game. I feel as if it could have been 4 or 5-1. And you do look back to all these points, and it does make you pretty angry. And I don't think you can really single players out. In particular, I think, for example, Wan-Bissaka had an absolute terrible game last night. I mean, he basically costed 2 goals for us. I mean, Maguire always gets the hit because he is the command. He's meant to be the commander in defence. Lindelof, I don't think he's good enough personally. I think he probably needs to move on. It did suit him a lot better, the fact that it was Olmo instead of Poulsen. I felt as if Poulsen caused so many issues whenever he came on.
Yeah.
He didn't actually really have the ball that much, but just his presence. He's a big guy.
They played it. Well. Yeah, they played it smart. They played with Forsberg and Olmo. What they wanted to do, they wanted to draw our defenders forward. They wanted to get in behind our fullbacks, and that's what Nagelsmann, he mentioned before the game, that he's trying to go round the back. And funnily enough, with Angelino, he was getting round the back multiple times. Wan-Bissaka, that's that thing of tucking in, he's done it countlessly. He did against Brighton. If you remember, Solly March had about 2-3 chances, hit the bar, hit across the post. De Gea made some good saves. the West Brom I mentioned, I'm unsure about the player's name. I think he's new to the Premier League, so I don't know his name, so my bad there. But he's done it in another game as well, and sooner or later it's going to catch up on you. Solly March might miss, but Angelino is a high standard of player. He's going to take his chance, and that's what I mean. At this level, you can't make the same mistakes. And even his body shape, Wan-Bissaka's, he's looking forward, and he's not even looking at what's behind him. You've got to open your body shape up so you can see the ball and you can see the man. But he don't do it. I actually don't understand, because he's marking Lindelof's man. He's not marking his own man at the back post. Especially as being as a wing back, he's meant to go against the opposition wing back. That's your direct opponent for the game. So why are you tucking all the way in when you got 3 centre backs? You got 3 centre backs for a reason. You don't need to tuck all the way in. You need to face your wing back. So I don't know. I think Gareth Southgate apparently mentioned it, that he loses himself in the game, as in like his understanding isn't great. I've not seen the quotes, but I just heard it online, and and now we're actually seeing it. I didn't see it much last season. It's just this season I realised it.
Yeah, it's just this season I've realised it as well. And I was working yesterday until 8:30, and I was just watching the phone. We were completely dead. It was not busy at all, and we had it on just in the corner, and I was like, surely we won't concede. Like, we've got a lot of good defensive players on today. We've got Luke Shaw back, who I was very happy about. I've seen the work you do about that as well. That was a great piece of work you've done. Luke Shaw, I think, to be honest, wasn't too bad last night, but I saw them back and I was like, we're sitting quite well. We've got Matic, McTominay, and they've not got a striker. I was like, surely we won't score. Went and conceded in 2 minutes. And I was like, I need to do something else. Came back, but 10 minutes later, looked at my phone. I see all these messages from my pals who support Liverpool. They're crying. I was like, maybe they're just texting me about the fact we've conceded like 1-0, we're going out. But no, it was a second goal. And whenever I actually saw the second goal, I saw it pretty much as it happened, because we were watching it on BT on the phone. It was kind of delayed. So I managed to catch it, and I was like, surely this ball's not coming over this way again.
That was Bissaka's fault as well on the back post. Yeah. I think I think it was Sabitzer in midfield. He played it wide to what's his name, Angelino. Bissaka again was tucked in, but this time Angelino didn't shoot because he wasn't in a shooting position.
Yeah, the ball went over.
Yeah, he was more wide in the crossing position. Bissaka just trembles across. You've got to go on. You got to like step on Angelino's feet. You can't let him cross. I think it was some tactic of ours to let crosses in as if Maguire's going to head them all the way. But it don't work like that. It can get ricochets. You can hit a low cross. You can hit it against someone's foot. It can go in. Like you got to stop the cross at point. Even like as a fullback, I heard Gary Neville mention it in the past. Where it's so important to stop crosses, and that's the position I play in like Sunday League football. And I know the importance of closing that gap and not allowing the cross in. Sometimes there's lazy defending, letting the cross in and thinking your centre back's going to deal with it because they've not got a recognised striker. But we allowed the cross in, and then I think Haidara on the back post scored. And we were even fortunate with they scored a third, but it was offside. So
and you look back as well. I mean, positioning for the Istanbul, that does seem like one of the overall problems in the team. I mean, you look at the Istanbul game where we lost in Turkey, and for the second goal, Edin Visca's goal, there was absolutely no one on his side of the park. Absolutely no one. Everyone committed themselves to the guy, which, yes, you should commit yourself, but not as much as those guys did. And it left him at the back post. And you look throughout the full team and you think, shoot, you just need someone to like give a bit more, than just Bruno Fernandes. Personally, I think Harry Maguire gets a lot of stick that isn't merited. I think he's still good. Is he a leader? Possibly not. But hi Rich, thanks for tuning in. I know obviously quite a hard game, and a hard review, not a review, a whole Champions League review to watch, but we're trying our best. We're trying our best to keep going. And yeah, his next comment was Istanbul. There's no organisation at all, and that is what we've just been talking about. It's crazy, and maybe that is one of the points. But I think it is just an overall tactical issue, and I want to know, Waz, what you think about. Basically, do you think Ole should stay, or do you think he won't be able to take us any further? Because obviously everyone's like, oh, Pochettino or Nagelsmann. I think possibly Nagelsmann. But overall, I think Ole should stay just now. I don't think it will do us any favours.
Yeah. So with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think when he picked us up, we were quite toxic at that time. If you remember Mourinho's Pogba fallout, a lot of the players were underperforming. It was getting a bit toxic. I think Ole coming at that time, it was a good move probably by the board in terms of getting him in, not getting him on a permanent contract, but just getting him in. He lifted the spirits of the players. The players felt a bit more. I know it's a bit cliche, but felt a bit more free in their football, and he just brought some like positive energy and a bit of unity to the squad. And he got rid of Sanchez, who didn't want to be here, like disgraceful comments that he made. Lukaku didn't want to be here. I don't know who he thinks he is, but yeah, he went as well. And then yeah, I thought Ollie, he just filled out the squad well. And then obviously he got the permanent contract. I was slightly against it at the time. I mentioned it at the time, but I thought, you know what, fans are just like dying for Ollie to be manager. Let's go with it. Let's support him. And then, yeah, with Ollie, so I think he's done a lot of good in terms of filling out the squad, getting rid of getting rid of a lot of dead wood. He's decreased the wage structure. He's decreased the wage structure, which is a positive. So we've got a bit of structure there. The biggest problem with Ollie, it's been like 2 years and we still don't know his style of play. We come onto the field and it's like the players are just they're just playing off the cuff. Everything's off the cuff. There's no patterns of play. You don't know if like the centre back's going to drop in. Like say we play 4-3-3 for example, we don't know if March is going to drop in and that means the full backs are going to push forward, or we're going to play 2 high number 8s, or we're going to play like a false 9 with the right and left and right winger cutting in. We don't know our style of play, and that's the problem. Game to game, and we change our style of play, and we also change our formation constantly, and that's a big issue. So with Ollie as well, I think he did do well last season in terms of finishing third, because majority of that season wasn't like Martial injured, and we had Pereira, Lingard for majority of it as well. Obviously, Fernandez was an inspirational signing. But I think Ollie now, I think he's reached their ceiling. I think in these high-end games like PSG, when they change the second half, but they put that Bakker on his name, I think his name Bakker. They put him on left wing. Ollie didn't see it till late, and then Bakker's the one who crossed one of the balls in for a goal. And then even yesterday, his team selection put in McTominay and Matic, the two what do you call it, static basically. They don't cover ground well enough. And our wing backs, they were so deep, so it left two. Rick the Red actually covered it on Twitter today. He covered it how the two midfielders were left on their own. If you're playing a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it, your wing backs have got to actually play like wing backs. Whereas our wing backs yesterday, they played like full backs. They were on the same line as the defenders, and that made Matic and McTominay have to cover so much ground, left and right. That's why Sabitzer got that space in that right hand channel, because there's no one there. You've got your left wing back in Tellez. He's really deep, and then you've got Matic and McTominay as central players, and you've got Bruno as a number 10. So that right hand channel is all free basically, and that's where Sabitzer crossed it in for Angelino's first goal. And it's stuff like that where Ollie's getting it wrong. And our consistent first half performances, you can't just continually play bad. Oh, it looks good on paper that we've got 9 wins in a row, but if you break it down, Brighton away we're very fortunate. They hit the bar, post, everything. Southampton, Cavani changed it around, and I think there was another recent game where we've changed it around as well. So at this level against Leipzig, they're no mugs. They've got a great home record. We can't just constantly perform second half. I don't know what the players are playing at. I don't know what the management team playing at. You got to approach the game in the right way.
So who would you? I mean, you basically said you want Ole out now. He's basically hot. He's ceiling. That's him done.
Ceiling, yeah.
Who would you bring in?
Nagelsmann's a very good shout, but personally, I'd bring in Pochettino because of the what do you call it? The composition of the squad. I feel like the players that we've got, I think it suit Pochettino style of play. A lot of the players like Donny van der Beek, Bruno was wanted at Tottenham and Pochettino was there as well, and the likes of Martial and so on. Wan-Bissaka will have a problem because Pochettino relies on flying fullbacks. Remember Rose and Walker, they'd push high and wide, so Bissaka he'll have a problem. Tellers might be all right. Maguire, Lindelof, there'll be an issue there because of the high line Pochettino likes to play. But I don't think there's any standout manager that we can go out and say, oh, bring him in. For personally, with Ollie, I'd give him till end of season, see how it is, see how it plays out. Because sacking him now is just nonsensical. There's no benefit sacking him now. Pochettino, Nagelsmann, they're probably not even ready to just come in tomorrow. So just take your time, bide your time. Yeah. How the season goes, it goes. Let's see how Europa League goes. Let's see how Premier League goes. And then in the summer, just make a rational decision. Give the next manager a good like financial budget, and give him time over the summer to work with the squad. So yeah, there's Pochettino, there's Nagelsmann. I just think we need a progressive manager with a style of play. Allegri is a shout that certain fans want. Even certain fans want Ancelotti. But yeah, it's each to their own, to be honest.
To be honest, I do agree with Cam's point here. And it's basically, if Poch did come in, everyone would have been so angry. Let's be real. I think this team is really, they've got good players. Do they work well together? No. I mean, you look at, from going back to my question about the underlying issues, you look at Pogba. He's been an ongoing underlying issue for how long? I mean, I'm done with Pogba, to be honest with you.
I'm done as well, and I was one of his biggest backer. I've called that pundit.
So far, I mean, I've
to be viral for defending Pogba, but
yes,
he keeps letting me down. What can I do?
And I need to go into Rich's point as well, where I think spot on. I think the players that Ole has brought in, basically, and they haven't been his number one targets, but the guys who he has brought in have been top notch. I mean, you look at Bruno, probably the best player. He'll make team of the year, in the world. And you look elsewhere. You look at Donny van der Beek, who I absolutely love. I love to watch him, and especially whenever he plays for Holland, I think he's amazing. Wan-Bissaka, I mean, obviously it's quite a controversial one from last night. I'm not really a reactionist, but I think he has been a great signing as well. I mean, at right back, we had no one at a point because Valencia was too old.
Yeah.
And going on to another point as well, though, I mean, you look at the right wing position, that whole right flank, there's absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, and going back through the Champions League, and I've seen quite a lot of heat maps over the games. And the ball hasn't ever been on the right hand side. No. See, like and crossing lines up the right hand side, there's been nothing, because it's either been Mata. I don't think it's not even really been Dan James. He's come on as a sub against Istanbul. Greenwood, he basically plays as a striker as well whenever he's on the right. We need a Sancho, and I said this every podcast. We need Sancho.
Yeah.
Sell Pogba, recoup the money, buy Sancho.
Yeah.
We need to fill the space, and. We just completely waste our chances. And someone like Sancho, for example, or a Haaland, I mean, yes, he's his agent is Mino Raiola, which I can speak about all day about him. I can't say it, but he's horrible. He's a really bad guy. The way he speaks, for example, just before the big game. I mean, we've literally got a game. I was so angry about that. I'm done with Pogba. Yes, he came on. He was great. Pogba was probably our best player. The only good player.
Yeah.
But I just don't want that in the team. I don't want that in the team. Maybe you guys in the chat, you can get involved here, but I can't see Pogba. I didn't really want him to ever play for United again.
I think they did it on purpose. I think they did it to annoy the fan base, to annoy the management, because if you annoy the management, if you annoy the fan base, it pushes that like power of getting him out. If he was all nice and comfortable, everyone would be like, but like now, because he's like made everyone angry, everyone just wants to get rid. But I think it was a personal, like tactical move for them, not to be honest.
Rich, I'm quite interested to obviously hear about this, about the fact about you're saying defensive coaching. Is that possibly Ole doing that, or bring in like a more defensive minded manager? Like, I mean, Mourinho's the guy who pops up to everyone's mind, or Diego Simeone, guys like that. Personally, I don't think we need that. I think we do have a good base of team, and we did have one of the best records last year in the league for defending. But it's just tactical issues, and as I say, I keep saying this word, underlying issues that have been going on for ages. We go on a winning streak, we forget about it, and then we come back. Wow, we're back at square one. So annoying. Like,
I thought we played quite well after the restart. Remember last season, and when the Premier League restarted, I thought we played quite well when we played like Villa away. I remember Mason Greenwood's goal, or the games at home. We were scoring free flowing football. We played quite well, but then the season starts, like as you mentioned, it's like we go back to square one. It's like the players don't even know each other. But the talent we've got, this is where you get these extreme Ollie inners. It's like the talent we've got to play much better football. The likes of Brighton, the team much below us, they move the ball much better. It's going to be the Euros, and three of the best players in the Euros will be Pogba, Bruno, and Donny. And all three play for us. We've got to remember these three play for us. We've got three of the best midfielders in Europe, if not the world, and we don't play like it. And that's the problem. And the consistency with team selection, the consistency with formation is just simply not there. So that's where I can't defend Ollie in terms of style of play. I just hope we did have a style of play and we had a more consistent lineup. It don't help certain players. For like Bissaka, he's not a right wing back. So that's why he looks clueless when he's at right wing back. And he's just certain things like that where you can't defend Ollie. Like even yesterday, he took off Telles, he put Shaw left back, then he took Shaw off, then put Williams on. Like it didn't make
that was crazy. I don't understand why he done that. The only thing that Williams done was fix his hair. He didn't do anything else. Yes, he won a foul, but he didn't get put on to win a foul. Like he just from Fernandez's free kick where he hit the bar. I mean, we've not seen much of Williams throughout the full campaign. This time he's been playing more for the under-23s. I mean, I think Telles must have got taken off, possibly a knock. I don't know, but surely you keep Telles on. I mean, Telles is probably one of our best players going forward. He can at least provide a cross into the box. Then you look into the box. Who's going to win the header for us?
No, that's the problem.
I mean, see in the last few minutes, we've got Maguire. We've got Maguire pinging the balls up the park. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not going to stick with Rashford and Greenwood.
And we do have very good players, but as we've said, Rich, I don't know if you're here whenever we started, but Martial, Greenwood. I mean, Greenwood's very young, but Martial, Rashford. I mean, even the defense is probably one of the most inconsistent we've ever had. Oh, it's crazy. I can't believe it. There's just so much going on just now, and it has been obviously quite difficult to come on and talk about all this because it's still very raw. I just don't understand how guys can go on Twitter, sit and talk about all this, try and say, "Oh, what about Mourinho? Imagine this game if we had Mourinho in." Like, it's crazy. Mourinho was an issue. Pogba was an issue.
Yeah,
we need to move these type of people on.
Yeah,
and this has been going on for years. Yeah. As you said, Sanchez, we need to get rid of all these guys and start from the beginnings around players like Bruno Fernandes. And Indiana, quite controversial. Obviously, if you roll out your Glazers in, it's where I am with this now. All comes from the top. So that's what Indiana thinks about his underlying.
I'll address that point. With if fans are going to accept the performance of yesterday, if they're going to accept that, that's exactly what the Glazers want. The Glazers want mediocre performances. The Glazers want us to be in that 4th, 5th position where we just get about 4th and we just carry on each season, get 4th. They take the money out of the club. They don't want ambition at United. Look at the relentlessness of the likes of Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona. They chase success like viciously. They just chase success. We don't chase success. We chase so much other things than success. If United cared about the team on the field, that's the main thing. You got to care about the team on the field. If we cared about the team on the field, we would have got rid of Pogba. We clearly wants out. We would have utilized that money. We could buy a top defensive midfielder, and then we've got a top defensive midfielder, Donny and Bruno. The balance of that midfield is much better. For example, if we had Ndidi, Donny, and Bruno, the balance of that midfield is way better than having Pogba, Fernandez, and Donny, because we know that the balance of that midfield doesn't really work. So they don't fundamentally care about the team. With Ollie,
he can't get the signings. He can't get the players in who he wants.
He should.
That's why he deserves more time for me.
Yeah, he should have got back. He should have got back last summer. I agree. But however, with the players he's got to utilize better. That's what I will say. And personally, I'm not like Ollie out, Wally, PTJ. You know who those people are. We know who they are in the Twitter space and so on. I never say that because it's just disrespectful to a legend. It's not like he's done a bad job. He's not done a bad job. He picked us up when we were down. He's done a good job. He's finished in the top 4. But I just feeling, me personally, I feel that he's hit his ceiling. So credit to him. Leave with respect. Maybe end of the season, and that's all. But again, I'm not shouting get rid of him in January. Get rid of him straight away because it doesn't make sense. Getting rid of him now just doesn't make any sense. Give him till end of the season and see where he's there.
Yeah, we obviously need to disagree on that. Obviously, it's quite a controversial subject. Not all fans will agree with it. I think that Ole still does deserve more time. We need to back him in another window. We need to properly back him this time. I say we. It's not we. It's the Glazers.
Yeah.
They're not the same as us. They're not the same.
No, they don't care.
They're not fans. They're not fans.
No,
Rich said, get a director of football to sort it out. It wasn't a shambles because of who we brought in. The recruitment was actually okay. It was from higher up, and it was like the money. We weren't going to pay the extra money for Sancho, but then we spent 35 million on Traore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying this guy's going to be bad.
Yeah.
But he's not going to start.
I know what you mean. Why didn't we use the Traore money and Cavani's wages and use that towards Sancho? And then we've got a permanent right winger. It solves so many problems.
Yeah, I was very sceptical whenever Cavani came in because his wages, and he clearly wasn't a first one of our top targets.
No.
Because see, at the end of the day, Cavani, we could have signed Cavani 18 months ago. 18 months ago, we could have signed him up.
Yeah.
And we didn't. And we done that for a reason because we didn't want him.
No.
In all fairness, he's done well whenever he comes in, but I don't think it's the director of football we need. I think it's obviously a new owners, but that won't ever happen. Yeah, and it's just we keep going round in circles and circles, and we've all seen the photo. But I think Ole's doing the best job he can, and I don't think any manager will be able to do it. There's only one manager that's able to do it, and it's Sir Alex Ferguson because he's Sir Alex Ferguson. You know what I mean? No one's better. Yeah. And you look at that, and Chelsea did do their business earlier than us and any other team because they've got a well-run team. Yes, they do get a lot of money pumped into the club, but we don't get that anymore.
I think with Roman Abramovich, he gets a lot of stick, but he actually cares. He actually cares about that team being successful. He changes his managers often, but look how much trophies Chelsea have won. I think Chelsea in the last 10 years have been the most successful club in England. He actually chases success. He backed Lampard, and he backed Lampard brilliantly well with the likes of Werner, Ziyech, Havertz, top class players. Kovacic was a recent signing, top class player. Kante's found form. They've got Reece James, a top young right back. So their squad is just nicely coming together.
Yeah, so I just want to finish off just with one last point, and it's quite a hard one for me personally to talk about, and I think Ahmed is going to do a watch along for the Europa League draw next Monday. If you guys want to obviously tune in, but I couldn't do that personally. It's too difficult. I just want to know what's your expectations for the Europa League going forward. Obviously, I can't really talk about it. I feel disinterested and disheartened about the whole situation, but I just want to hear obviously what you think about it all.
Yeah, I'm like deeply disappointed that we're in the Europa League. That's why after last night, normally I don't get angry after games. It's because a defeat is a defeat, and obviously on the night we were really poor, so you could be angry at the performance. But this performance, it has a consequence after the game as well. We go into the Europa League. I do not want to be there. You play extra games. You play Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday consistently, and even with that schedule, I don't know if our squad will be able to handle it. First of all, then you'll end up getting more injuries. So it's a difficult one. You see what Tottenham do. Tottenham play their B team in the Europa League. I don't know if we'll do that or not, because if we focus on Europa League initially, it might impact our Premier League form. Or I think with United, they might just focus on the Premier League, and what happens in Europa League happens in Europa League. And if we get to the later stages, then we might play Fernandes more often and the big boys more often.
Yeah, I think that is what will happen, and I hope it is what happens, because the league's so open this year. I mean, you look, we're only like a couple of points off top if we win the game in hand. Obviously, we've got the game Manchester City on Saturday, which will be a difficult one. I think we all know that, but fingers crossed we'll be able to get the results. Thanks, guys, for obviously tuning in, and it's great to have you on. Waz, thanks for everything and coming on. You're always welcome.
Yeah, it's a great channel. Keep up the good work, mate. I'll see you around as well.
Yeah, and just before we go, just everyone make sure to follow Trafford Talk on the socials below, and like and subscribe as well. Thanks, guys.